Thanks for joining us for KARE 11 News at noon. Today, we are following threats shutting down St. Paul schools. And of course, we will get a look at your weather. But first, we're following breaking news out of northern Minnesota where several kids are hurt following a bus crash. The St. Louis County Sheriff says 12 Cherry School students were taken to the hospital after a car T-boned the bus. It happened just before 8 this morning between Hibbing and Cherry. 2 students were on board. The 12 who were hurt are expected to be okay. The person driving the car was flown to the hospital with serious injuries. We will continue to follow the latest in this story as it develops. Turning now to our weather, we're in for a warmer than average day for the middle of September. Ben is in the yard with a look at an unusual set of temperatures, Ben.
Yeah, that's right. Summer weather just continues to roll on. In fact, we are already about 5 degrees warmer than we were at this time yesterday. Take a look at local temperatures. We're already just shy of 80 degrees around the Twin Cities. You can see Crystal's at 80, Princeton's already at 81 degrees. And backing things up, you can see upper 70s make it all the way up into northern Minnesota. So yes, pretty unusual for this time of year. Average high temperature for today is about 75 degrees, so we're already much warmer than that. Wall-to-wall sunshine to start off the day, and it looks like we'll stay that way through the rest of the afternoon. We've got this big ridge of high pressure which will be over us for at least one more day. Notice some scattered showers continue to impact the high plain states and the far western Dakotas. Eventually, those showers will reach into far western Minnesota as we get into Saturday, but otherwise things will be pretty quiet and mostly dry over the next couple of days. Temperatures warming into the mid to upper 80s today, not record-setting heat, and we do expect temperatures to be about this warm as we head into Friday as well. A few showers are possible on Saturday as remnants from Hurricane Francine work their way into the upper Midwest. We'll talk more about that, plus a look at a better chance for rain as we head into next week. That's in a couple minutes. Alexis.
Ben, thank you. Less than 2 weeks into the school year and classes are canceled in 2 St. Paul schools as police investigate a series of threats. Others are on high alert. Cece, this is the first story that we brought as breaking news this morning. What do we know now?
Yeah, a lot of updates this afternoon. The 2 St. Paul schools that have canceled classes today are Hope Community Academy and Community School of Excellence. Mung College Prep Academy will stay open, but with increased security. CSE administrators write online that they want to ensure everyone's safety. A message was posted for Hope Community Academy students and families on Facebook Wednesday night. It said in part, "We want to assure you that we are taking this threat very seriously and have reported the threat to local law enforcement." According to St. Paul Public Schools website, the threats are circulating mainly on TikTok and Snapchat, and many of the messages are copies from outside the area. School officials say they're taking every alleged threat seriously, adding they don't believe that this threat is credible and there is currently no danger to any SPPS campus. They also mentioned that alleging possible violence at schools is a nationwide issue right now. Meanwhile, St. Paul police are working with the Minnesota BCA and St. Paul school security to investigate the threats and ensure student safety.
Cece, you mentioned that these threats against schools is a nationwide issue and schools are on high alert, but where have these other threats been happening?
Yeah, after digging around this morning, I found mention of threats in Virginia, Alabama, Nebraska, Colorado, but that doesn't even scratch the surface. We're told dozens of schools across the U.S. have reported these fake online threats just in the last 24 hours. And of course, the response is heightened after the school shooting down in Georgia just last week that left 4 dead.
So much on our minds. Cece, thank you for keeping us updated. In just over 2 hours, former Hudson teacher Madison Bergman will be in court for a motion hearing. She's accused of making inappropriate contact with her 5th grade student. Charging documents show police reviewed 35,000 texts and dozens of emails between the two. She's facing child enticement and sexual assault charges. Right now, a funeral is underway for one of the victims of a deadly crash at Park Tavern in St. Louis Park. Audrey Russo shows us how the community is coming together.
The Park Tavern has been described as a family over these last 10 days, really pulling together during this incredibly tough time. And what's happening right now is just another example of that. The tavern is closed for lunch service so that all of the employees can say goodbye to their coworker, Christina Folkerts. She is the Park Tavern employee who was killed earlier this month when a drunk driver plowed into the restaurant. Her services are being held at the Westwood Lutheran Church here in St. Louis Park. Christina's obituary describes the 30-year-old mother as an avid photographer and a hard worker who loved her work community. A clear testament to how much they loved her back, the GoFundMe supporting Christina's children and husband has raised nearly all of its $225,000 goal. It now stands at $217,000. There's also a GoFundMe for Gabe Harvey, the Methodist hospital worker who was killed in the same crash. And of the 3 hospital workers who were hurt, we know that 1 has been released from the hospital and the other 2 are continuing to recover. As for the driver at the center of this case, Stephen Bailey, well, the charges against him have been upgraded. They were upgraded earlier this week, and he's now facing 2 counts of third-degree murder. His next hearing is October 1st. Back to you.
Audrey, thank you. Cleanup begins today after what once was Hurricane Francine made landfall in Louisiana yesterday. It's now been downgraded to a tropical depression as it moves north and cleanup begins. NBC's Jay Gray shows us what that looks like from New Orleans.
You can see New Orleans moving slowly this morning, but the key is the city is still moving after taking a beating from Hurricane Francine overnight into the early morning. 9 inches of rain or more falling in some parts of the city, and in many areas too fast for flood pumps to keep up with that deluge. We had issues with flash flooding, obviously, high water rescues overnight, and water pushing into areas where it's not supposed to be, including homes and businesses. Most of that water, thankfully, this morning has receded. So now the work of cleanup is beginning, and a lot of people going through that cleanup and trying to restore things without power. Hundreds of thousands lost power during the storm. There is work, of course, to restore that, but in some areas, crews say it could take 2 or 3 days to bring that power back. We know that the city is working to assess the exact cause of some of the pump problems here and the overall damage, and that's going to take some time as well. So they'll continue to work through that, continue to work through the process as this storm continues to push inland. It's rapidly decreasing, but still going to drop rain across Mississippi and into Tennessee later today. That's the latest from here in New Orleans. I'm Jay Gray. Back to you now.
We're seeing new images today of the aftermath left by the wildfires still burning through parts of the U.S. and forcing thousands of evacuations. Communities have been reduced to ashes. In some areas, things are getting even worse. The Davis fire in Nevada is forcing evacuations in the suburbs of Reno. Yesterday, the threat level rose higher than that area has seen in nearly 5 years. In California, the Bridge Fire has destroyed dozens of homes and more are at risk.
This is my home. This is the only place I've been for the last 30 years, and it's just sad.
California is also battling the airport and line fires while Arizona and Oregon fight back their own flames. Today, St. Anne's homeless shelter in Minneapolis is cleared out. It comes after they say neighbors attacked residents and staff last week. Now, Police Chief Brian O'Hara is responding to accusations that his department hasn't done enough.
Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara says MPD is investigating an alleged assault and attempted break-in at People Serving People St. Anne's shelter. CEO Huang Murphy says he's upset no arrests have been made, even though they captured the attempted break-in on camera last Thursday. O'Hara says none of the victims came forward that night and officers were receiving conflicting information. He says police talked with 2 victims on Monday and have stepped up patrols in the area. O'Hara says he anticipates arrests will be made.
With less than 8 weeks until Election Day, today the candidates are back on the campaign trail for the first time since the following Tuesday's debate. Now, former President Donald Trump is back in Arizona today for a rally. He'll be in Tucson, where he will talk about the economy and housing. Meanwhile, Vice President Kamala Harris is heading to the southeast. She'll be in North Carolina for campaign rallies in Charlotte and in Greensboro. Her running mate, Governor Tim Walz, is also back on the road. The governor will be in Michigan before heading to Wisconsin tomorrow, where he will campaign in Wausau. In just over a week, Minnesotans can start voting by mail, but election officials are raising concerns about mail delays for your ballots. Here's what we know.
I'm Jennifer Hoff. Dozens of election officials are sounding the alarm, concerned that persistent problems with the mail system could disrupt voting this fall. Minnesota's Secretary of State pointing to missing and delayed mail and staffing shortages as his main concerns. He expects up to 30% of Minnesotans will vote by mail and recommends you do so early. And remember, you can track your ballot online. The Postal Service spokesperson for our district says it's adding extra transportation, collection trips, and overtime to avoid any further problems.
Well, Red Bull's show run is bringing Formula One to downtown Minneapolis. Racer David Coulthard will zip up and down 4th Street on Saturday. There will also be freestyle motocross events throughout downtown. So a heads up, if you're heading to that area, every one of these streets you're seeing on your screen will be closed for some period between now and at least Monday. You can see that includes South 4th Street from US Bank Stadium all the way up to 2nd Avenue there. There's also no parking on these streets, so just be aware of that. Rideshare may be an option, but the event itself is free to attend.